Hey guys, good to see so many of you already in the chat. Guten Abend, fellow Duck Sims. Good evening, good evening. Yeah, I hope the audio and the video is good. I'm exhausted, so I'll be a little bit muted today, but we'll make do. We'll make do. Did Cred leave? No. I bet he's gonna be in the chat, just waiting to bully me for a mispronunciation I'm gonna do. Don't ducks eat mosquitoes? I mean, they got me this time, dude. They got me this time. Audio video is very good. Nice. Good to hear. So yeah, before we start, shout out to the sponsor of the show, Blockfolio. They do all the portfolio tracking that you would ever want to have, and they also allow you to trade on there these days. So if you want to do that on your mobile phone, go check them out. The links are in the description. If you don't, I mean, that's fine too. I've used them. I've enjoyed it. So yeah. I will not say a word about your excellent English ever again. I mean, I doubt that. But yeah, a lot to talk about with regards to Bitcoin. You can see it. I've already got it open. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some altcoins because we've seen some bounces there. Some people are calling for big upside again. I have less optimistic views on that, but yeah, we'll talk about it. Cred says he will bully me for my mispronunciations. Nice. I mean, it's the best way to learn, I guess. People asking me what I think about special influencers. I'm never going to answer that because fuck that. I don't want to rate influencers. Not my cup of tea. But yeah, before we start with any of the low time frame stuff, because this looks much better on the lower time frames than on the higher time frames, I'll give the sober update first, and then I'll give the reason why people are bullish right now afterwards, okay? So the sober update is, I mean, we're still, like, high time frame support is very far, the next one anyway. We're in the middle of nowhere on the high time frames, right? We've bounced a little bit, yes, but still looking rough on the monthly. And still looking very rough on the weekly. We've had a fake out to the upside, break back into the range, right? We've been talking about this range for weeks and weeks now. Fake out to the upside is usually met by either a fake out to the downside and then up, or just a straight up breakdown on a closing basis, right? So none of those have happened. I mean, they don't have to happen, but most of the time they do. So it's going to be an interesting weekly close. I'm going to be watching it. I want to see it hold 32K, even though I just said like this could be followed by a fake breakout to the downside. I mean, that would just look fucking terrible. So as long as it holds 32K, we're still in this range, but I'm leaning bearish on this range as long as this is the case, right? We've had a breakout to the upside that didn't materialize. Bulls had that chance, didn't take it. As long as that kind of thing is in place, for me, the chances are higher that this is going to break down than that it's actually going to like provide support. So, I mean, technically for me, 32K is support, but it's weak one, and 38K is resistance, and it's a really strong one. So there you go. Like the monthly, far from support. The weekly looks completely trash. The daily looks giga trash to me as well. We've had a breakdown, a close below, and now we're kind of trading back inside, like into that resistance, right? So as you can see, like there's resistance here, right? This entire area. We broke below, we closed below, and then we bounced a little right into that pocket of resistance, and we're having trouble getting through it, right? So that's typically bearish. Usually I would want to be shorting this, but I think it's in this case it's quite aggressive. So I mean, I wouldn't recommend shorting into this. It's just just from like an objective point of view, this is a really, really bearish chart, right? Now, the lower time frames look much better. We'll talk about them in a second. So I don't want to say, okay, this is just gonna go down, but in general, even though we've had a lot of people be super, super bullish into this, like any higher time frame chart hasn't actually reflected any bullishness whatsoever, right? It's obviously gonna be the case that the low time frame, like let's say this plays to the bullish side, right? The low time frame is gonna flip before the higher time frames, right? So you're gonna see the first indications of bullishness on the lower time frames, right? And that's why so many people are bullish, even though they're being bullish into resistance. And I think that's way too early to tell, because if you close back, like let's say today it closes red, I think we're just gonna nuke straight through, right? And that is not something that you would want to have if you're long, right? The reason why people are turning bullish and why like the title is what it is, right, is because the lower time frames do show a pretty significant bounce, right? So we've had these equal lows. We talked about them too. And we've rated them and then had a pretty explosive breakout to the upside, right? And as long as that has some follow through, there's a good chance, like on the low time frames, if you look at this, that we go higher, right? The problem this time around is that the higher time frames do not agree, right? So even if you're taking longs, you're taking them despite the higher time frames being bearish. And it doesn't have to mean much, right? I mean, it can still be a good trade. It's just the confluence isn't on your side. Typically what I try to do, right, is I try to buy when we're at weekly support, right? And then you go down a time frame lower, and then for some reason daily support is in that area too, right? So you have the weekly, then you have the daily in a similar area, and then lower time frames you have support there as well, right? In this case, that's not the case. The only thing that we really have is daily momentum, and that's saying a lot because I mean we haven't had any of that in a long time. So that's at least something. It's just the higher time frames don't agree. So for me, right now, I think the more probability, like the bearish retest is more probable. But I don't want to discount this, because if we start closing back above 34K, like into the 35K range, I don't think we're going to find much resistance anywhere inside this range, right? So this, for example, I mean, I can just delete. I don't think that's going to play a huge part. And then 40K has been tested 3 times. That's not going to play a part. So we would find resistance somewhere in here. So the reason why like this gets a little bit attractive is because the upside is relatively large. The reason why it's not attractive to me anyway is because this is chart wise. If you take out all the opium and all the bull posting from even like, I mean, Free Arrow Capital kind of bull posted at the lows, and even Sam did from FTX, from Alameda. So, I mean, we have like a bunch of bigger guys being bullish into this. For me, it hasn't flipped yet. I'm going to be the guy that joins in late or that joins in much lower, right? Because I don't want to be buying into a bearish retest, and this can be one. Does that make any sense to any of you guys? Because like I said, right, weekly fake out, daily, this looks pretty garbage. The only thing that does look okay is the 4 hour. And that only stays okay if it keeps momentum. And so far it hasn't, right? So what you want to be looking at on the lower time frames is this support area. If that gives, I mean, not looking too pretty. Chuck a like on the video and stuff. Oh yeah, you can do that. I would appreciate it. Seriously, don't pull up a different chart. I mean, it's only going to get worse from here. I mean, sorry guys, I got to disappoint, but this is the best looking chart I've had. Like everything else is actually worse. But we'll talk about those as well. So, I mean, my hopes got destroyed after it broke 40K. I mean, that was range high, right? The thing with these kind of moves is, right, Whenever you have these violent moves to the downside, is that it usually takes some time to resolve. So if you're buying into range high, there's a good chance you get wrecked. And what's the upside there anyway, right? 45. So not the best place to buy, but I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight, even though I think I've said it during that time as well. Do you consider this back to the crab? So there's a chance, I think. Let's say this actually closes bullish, right? Which would look like this. And this would actually be quite bullish in my opinion. I would be buying, right? Let's say we close into the 35K range today, right? Instead of like how we're looking right now. If we did that, I would expect it to maybe retest low. I don't even know. I'd probably just be buying in general. And then I'd expect it to go back to range high. And then I'd expect it to break out of that. And then do pretty much the same thing that we've done down here. Do something like this and then get back in here. And then we would really be in for a lot of crabbing, right? So that's the bullish case in my opinion. You hope for the crab. And the bearish case is this is a bearish retest and we're getting massive blood tomorrow and the week after. And I think that's actually the more likely method, like play to be had. But I mean, we have bounced strongly, and like I said, big players are bullish. The scary thing is like if you have like everyone on the same side and it's not playing out bullishly, who's left to buy, right? And so far, like no one seems to be showing too much interest in buying. But there's a bunch of people on the sidelines. That's why I'm willing to buy like 35K-ish. Because then I think those people on the sidelines would get FOMO, right? And I think they'd get wrecked above 40K. Because what this market is right now, it's basically a machine to fuck everyone over that is trying to actively trade this. And if you're not experienced in trading this, you shouldn't be. Like, you shouldn't be trading it because this is going to fake out a million times. And I've said this basically since we've gotten into the range. It's going to be brutal no matter where this goes, right? So even if it breaks to the upside into 40Ks, you're going to think, okay, this goes back to all-time highs and it's going to chop there and break your legs, basically. That's the biggest, that's the easiest prediction for me to make, I think. I'm pretty damn certain that's going to happen in general. Like, traders are going to get wrecked. In which direction, it's pretty hard to call. Richard says he tried getting a friend out of Doge and he's not selling. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be, no one's going to sell Doge until it's 90% lower. Oh no, alert, crypto Twitter, duck is bearish. I mean, you could say that, yeah. I mean, I'm not super bearish. I do recognize that this is a pretty strong bounce, but it's not nearly enough, and it's not enough to warrant all the bullishness that I'm seeing everywhere. So I'm just saying be cautious for this part of it, right? Because like what I've been doing basically, and what I've been kind of telling people is like in this range, for example, right? I was saying be cautious in this area, right? Because I mean, who the fuck knows? Like that's where the risk is. You don't want to be where the risk is. And that played out pretty well, right? And that's what I can say, right? That there's areas where the risk to kind of trade on the long side are higher. And I think we are right now exactly at that spot. Because you're playing basically right into resistance. And if it doesn't play out your way, you're going to get run over hard. And just like $2,000, that's not even 10% higher. That's much more, like much less risk involved, in my opinion anyway. So if you want to get long and you're not currently, I think 35K, like a close above there, it's a much better place, even though it's a higher price. And because the chances are that if we go there, the chances increase significantly that we go back to 40K. But if we can't get there and we close like at 33K, for example, that would be a perfect bearish retest. And I would expect tomorrow pretty much probably right from the open to completely dump, and you underwater and people are in your vicinity with stops in place. So the worst kind of position to be in. That's why I'm saying be a little bit cautious here. It's fine to be aggressively bullish a little bit higher, in my view. Okay. I think I've talked about this enough. It's like 15 minutes of straight up bear tarding, even though everyone smart that I know is being bullish. And we just hit support, right? So don't want to be too bearish. Low time frames, somewhat decent. Like I said, just high time frames are shit. Curious, gun to your head, 26k first or 38k first? I would say 26k. Is it roughly the same movement anyway? Yeah, it is. Like that be my where I'm leaning, but it's not a strong opinion. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. I think everyone understood that. I'm not saying short into this, by the way, because the short setup, and this is something I said yesterday too, down at the lows, the short setup is really, really difficult because this can go higher and still not invalidate you, right? So for me, it's just a waiting game. I want to be buying this much lower if I can, instead of buying it at here and then getting cut in half, basically. It's not what I'm trying to do. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. ETH, much, much, much worse. We'll talk about it. So one ETH BTC broke down, looks complete garbage even on the ETH BTC pair, right? There's a solid range breakdown. The problem with altcoins when they start reversing momentum, and you can see where the momentum's headed, right? Just look like you had strong momentum to the upside, and that momentum was stopped by strong momentum to the downside. And then again, very, very strong momentum to the downside, like on 2 occasions. And the problem with having strong momentum on these altcoins is that it wakes scary memories, right? I mean, that's just, you look at this and you look at the left side of the chart and you're like, holy fuck. And I'm glad I'm not owning any ETH right now because this looks garbage and I could see it go much, much, much lower. I don't really care about the fundamentals too much. I just look at this chart and I'm like, okay, this has potential to just retrace another like 26%, right? And even if it goes there, who's to say that it's not going to break that, right? But the nearest support is 26% away. And I'm not willing to take that bet. Even more so with ETH USD looking like it does, which is like this. And this is just fucking terrible, right? You've had a blow off top, you've had a massive breakdown, and then you had the weakest bounce I've ever seen after a breakdown like this. Like no one wanted to step in and buy this shit. Everyone's just like, okay, nice, we've had our fun, have fun with this garbage, even though bullish news are coming around, right? So you have like a bunch of people selling into this thing, more than happy to get out at pretty much any price imaginable, and it just breaking support after support, right? So this looks complete garbage to me. And yeah, this could bounce, right? But even if this bounces, right, even if you're a mega bull and you think this is gonna go higher, I mean, if you're not selling 3.2K, I think you're in the delusional camp, because I mean, that's like, if you get that lucky to sell there, I mean, take it, because you can still be bullish above like 4K or whatever after it breaks this convincingly. But I don't even think we get there. I think, like, to me, this looks hilariously bearish. I'm not going to be trying to defend this after it's had its blow off top, right? We've seen these before. Blow off top takes a while to get back there. This looks pretty much the same to me. So not bullish on ETH. Don't really see the point in trying to kind of buy into this weakness. You can buy into strength if you want to. And I mean, that's something that you can do on Bitcoin instead. This just looks bad. This stream is just rude. What the fuck? I mean, that's just my opinion, dude. I mean, if you, that's the thing, right? If you don't agree, I mean, that's completely fine. It's just like how I look at this market. And I could be completely wrong and this just takes off and moons, right? And I'd be fine with that, because I mean, ultimately, I don't really care where this goes. I'm just going to say like how I see it. And I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the weekly chart, right? And yeah, it's at support, but I mean, have you seen as clear of like a complacency bounce as this in crypto for the last 2 years? I haven't. Like this is basically this to me. Maybe even if you want to make it bigger, we're on this side of things like this, and we're basically chilling at this support. And last time it just broke it after like spending some time there and went all the way to the next one. And I mean, that's much lower percentage wise. That's another 60% move. And that would take, I mean, if you're that extreme, that would take ETH like all the way to like below 1K, right? I'm not that bearish, but I'm just saying like, I mean, I don't want anything to do with this. And I mean, I know I'm going to get hate for this from the ETH community, but I mean, it's not me that did this chart. Like I had no part in this, right? Make it more bullish and I get bullish again. It's just, as long as it's bearish, I mean, you're not going to get me bullish on this thing. Just the bull flag, bro. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the thing is, someone asked for the quarterly chart. Like, we don't even want to look at these. Like, look at this. Look at this monthly chart. Like, what is this candle here? Someone asked for the quarterly. Yeah, I mean, like, look at this and tell me, like, you should be, like, aggressively bullish. I can't be, right? Now, that doesn't mean it has to go down. I'm just saying, like, for me, like, any kind of bullish setup, like, there is no bullish setup for me here. There is no second best cryptocurrency. No, but like there is just nothing for me to do here. And I mean, the problem with this chart is that I don't see a world in which I get to do anything with ETH, right? Because this is so broken that even if it goes up, I have no idea what to do because it looks so bad, right? With Bitcoin, I can tell you, look at this. If it actually puts in some bullish momentum, I can play it into the 40Ks, into 45Ks, maybe even into 50Ks, right? When I look at this on ETH, I'm like, okay, this shit is going to zero. I'm not going to trade it. I mean, it's not going to zero, don't get me wrong, right? But I mean, that this chart is just not something I can work with. And it's done me well over the years to, like, when I see these warning signs, to just chill. Because I mean, even if this goes to the upside, I wouldn't know how to trade it. And that's basically all I'm saying. So yeah, there we go. I mean, I said it's only gonna get worse. I'm sorry, but I mean, I kind of warned you. Because I mean, it's only getting worse from here because ETH is actually one of the most bullish looking altcoins. So if you're gonna go over the altcoins, you're only gonna see me get more bearish. Wow, so rude, I'm an ETH back holder and I'm offended. Like, the thing is, like, long term, this is trading upwards, right? So if you hold a few years, you're probably fine. Now, that's all I can say, right? And I mean, maybe I'm the biggest idiot being bearish at the bottom, right? I'm not shorting this, so I'm not going to lose money on it. It's just like, I'm definitely not going to lose money buying this. Because you couldn't get me. Like, you would have to pay me to buy this. Okay, so that's ETH, right? Looks pretty shitty to me. And then you look at the other ones like Litecoin and everything else. And yeah, these are going to probably, I mean, I'm saying probably because there's never 100%, but in my mind, like there's a 90% chance this makes new lows. And honestly, looking at this chart, right, what this looks like is the last kind of move before death, which I would kind of welcome, because if this capitulates to the downside and goes like down 60, 70, 80, 90% from here, I'm going to buy it. It's just, I can't buy it here, right? And I've tried a couple of times, you guys remember, and I got shit for this, for selling, right? Because I bought somewhere down here and then sold somewhere in here and then bought again, sold for nothing basically. And I tried it like several times, right? And I even bought like into this breakout and sold like marginally higher, right? I think somewhere in here. Like I've tried to play this on the bullish side of things, but like this is a bearish chart. Anyone telling you otherwise doesn't know how to read charts, right? This is clearly bearishly trending. This is one of the most, like this is one of the worst charts that you could have. It's like literally trending down on a high time frame. It's not the worst looking chart out there, right? We're gonna go through the list and I'm gonna shit talk pretty much everything. So I mean, if you don't like that, maybe skip over this one because I don't know. It just looks like it's gonna break down. And yeah, that's just my opinion. I'm gonna be buying these things if they capitulate just because I hate myself. But I mean, it's gonna be hard because this looks like garbage. Can we talk about weather or something? I can't breathe. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. It's not my intention to panic any of you. Like this is literally just my opinion, right? And it doesn't have to mean anything. And I'm not short anything right now, so it's not even a position that I'm talking about. So not high conviction or whatever. But I mean, I'm pretty damn certain it's gonna break down. But pro flippening, yeah. I mean, that was the top again. Flippening talk, top. I mean, they just love each other. So that's Litecoin. Let's talk about stuff that people actually care about, right? Because I mean, it's easy to trash talk stuff no one cares about, like Litecoin. We can talk about Link. This is garbage. I mean, this is. I don't even know what to say, right? I mean, the bull market of 2020 and 2021 was basically just a dead cat on this. Like you got your complacency bonds. That's all this was. And yeah, it was a pretty big move, right? But that's because this nuked so much that it could put in a huge move to complacency bonds off of, right? I mean, this went up a shitload, but it's still down a shitload from the top. And I mean, this looks done to me. Now, I'm going to be buying Link as well. If it breaks down and goes shitload lower, it's just going to be really difficult to kind of pick a target because if this consolidation here breaks down, the target is quite low, right? Because you can kind of see like this consolidation was like 50% like from top to bottom, or if you want to take it the other way around, like a 2x. Right? If this goes down from the bottom of that consolidation, another 50%, it's almost off the charts, right? So definitely not bullish on this either. That said, it's at support, so this could bounce a little. Like in comparison to like ETH, that's already broken the support. I mean, this is at support. So I don't want to be the bad thought that says, okay, this is going to break down immediately. Could see it bounce, but in general, like I'm leaning bearish on this as well. Don't see the point. If you want to like trade these altcoins, just wait for conditions to get better, right? And if that waiting includes like missing out on the first 2x, right? Let's say this curls back up here and starts closing above resistance, right? There's nothing stopping you from getting in there and playing it either to all-time high or higher, right? But looking at this in comparison to Bitcoin, just makes me think the Link's barely even started the bear market it's heading in, right? And doesn't have to mean Link is going to die. Like we had a bunch of projects enter bear market and then come out on top, right? If you look at Aave, previously Lend, that completely exploded out of the bear market. Link actually did well in the crypto bear market itself, but I think it's gonna catch up with it now. Bear Lord Donald, have mercy on us plebs. I mean, I'm just going to say it how I see it. And I mean, you know, when I get bearish in altcoins, I'm just going to call them garbage and tell you not to buy it, right? And I've done that in 18 and 19, and I've done less of it in 20 and 21. And I'm going to do that again now that everything looks shit to me. And I mean, even Doge, right? Doge had a massive green candle today, and people are like, okay, Dogecoin's going to go back up. This has top to me. Like I mean, the thing is, like, no one's gonna praise you for being bearish, right? Everyone's gonna hate on me if this turns around. So there's like no upside in me saying this. It's just like I'm too stupid to kind of say, oh, maybe this goes up, maybe this goes down. Like, I'm pretty damn certain this is gonna crash, and I'm pretty damn certain that the top's already in for Dogecoin, and there's a good chance you're never gonna see those levels again, in my eyes. Like, I don't think you're gonna see 1,250 sats for Dogecoin ever again. And I mean, I'd be more than happy to be proven wrong. But then again, like, this is bearish chart and it's had 3 pushes up. And if you're looking for upside in a coin, in crypto against Bitcoin, the kind of number 1 rule is that you sell after 3 pushes up, higher time frame ones. And you've had the 1, you've had the 2, and you've had the 3, and now you've had a range breakdown. And if that wasn't enough for you to get the fuck out, if this price action wasn't enough, and then the breakdown wasn't enough, you're gonna back hold this all the way back down again. And the next floor is probably gonna be higher, right? This is gonna do something really stupid, I think. I think this is probably gonna like start bleeding out, right? And then it's gonna hit like 300 sats or maybe 200, and then the conditions in crypto are gonna turn, right? Everything's gonna look up again. And then Elon kind of does something stupid again, and this pumps to like 750, and people are going to be like, okay, the bull market's back on, and then it's going to bleed that entire thing back down again. I think this is what you have to be prepared for if you're Doge maximalist, whatever that means, because I think if you're holding Dogecoin for the long term, you're beyond helping. But I mean, be what it be. I mean, maybe I'm just a hater, right? Maybe it's just that I like Bitcoin too much and like the altcoins too little. But for me, this just looks garbage. And you're going to be lucky. Like, I think the thing is, the problem with saying like you're going to be happy to have exited at these kind of price levels can suck, because this can easily go back to like 900 or 1K. And so that's not what I want to be saying. But I think a lot of people are going to be stuck in this thing for the long term and curse themselves for it. Garbage drink. That's the new drinking game. But yeah, if you're asking me for an altcoin, chances are I'm gonna shit talk it today, right? So I mean, for the bag holders among you that want my opinion to kind of pump something, I mean, good chance that I'm gonna say it's trash and it's gonna go down, because this is not just Dogecoin and ETH and Litecoin. This is pretty much any asset in this crypto space against Bitcoin, right? And I mean, the thing is, I could see Bitcoin go up, right? I'm not saying the Bitcoin top is definitely in. Like, I'm 90% sure that the Dogecoin top is in. I'm less than 90% sure that the Bitcoin top is in, right? I could see Bitcoin go above 70K, and I think Dogecoin would still be trading around like 300 sats or 200 sats. So if you're like bullish crypto, I think right now and in the next year or so, you're gonna have to be in Bitcoin. Otherwise, you're gonna make losses relative to Bitcoin, in my view. And I've said the same thing when I was on Cred stream, and I've said the same thing for a few weeks now. That's why we haven't had altcoins in Technical Roundup, the newsletter that Cred and I write, because I'm just really, really bearish on them. And Cred tends to agree on the lower time frames right now. I don't think he said that he thinks the top's in, because he doesn't really care, right? He's just trading level to level. And I think that's probably the best that you can do, right? I just know that like people don't get when I'm saying, okay, Dogecoin broke this level, so I'm thinking it's going to this level. Like, they don't get where like I think this goes in general, right? Because I mean, this is the easiest way to look at this, right? It's broke a level, went back down, the trend is bearish, so you want to be selling at resistance, and then gonna do the same thing over and over and over again, right? Maybe buy back down here, play it into resistance, whatever, right? You can do this. But for the people that don't really care about trading too much, I mean, I'm just bearish on these things. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? This doesn't mean you have to copy trade me. It's all on your own shoulders, right? It's just I'm bearish. Is there anything you're positive about? In the crypto space, very, very little right now. Don't see it. I mean, if Bitcoin goes down, and it's been going down, right? And if this closes at resistance, I think Bitcoin's going to crash, and then you're going to see everything crash. So the only thing I'm going to be positive about is stablecoins, because this market is pretty much one giant thing that's trading in the same direction, right? And while I'm bearish on like Bitcoin, I can't be bullish on anything else, even more so in a macro environment like this. Now I could be wrong, and I'm going to be buying crypto. I'm not going to be buying altcoins, but I'm going to be buying Bitcoin if we start closing above 35K, right? It's just, for me, this looks like it's preparing a giant nuke. On the altcoins anyway. Bitcoin, I'm not 100% sure about. Like I said, the low time frames kind of do look okay. Higher time frames not. But like on the altcoins, there's already nuked a lot and the bounce is pathetic. And it just reminds me of 2018 where people were like, okay, my altcoin is down 50%, so I'm not going to sell. And then they ended up being down 95% and never sold. And then they sell and then the altcoins go back up again, right? So that's kind of what this price action reminds me of in regards to altcoin Bitcoin pairs. And your altcoin USD pair could go up for like a, right? If Bitcoin is actually truly bullish, the altcoin USD pair might go up. I'm just saying, like in relative terms, I think all these altcoins are gonna take a massive haircut against Bitcoin. People should always be charting against Bitcoin, so many stuck on altcoins. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, it sucks being in altcoins. Like, let's say you're right now in, like, sitting in Komodo, right? Like, look at this. You're sitting in an altcoin and you might be saying, okay, I'm still up against, like, the 1st of January or whatever. But the thing is, like, this is long-term down, right? And this was hailed as one of the best coins around for the longest time. And this is how altcoins play out in the long term if you don't pick the lucky few that actually make it. And I don't have a problem saying that, like, if you pick the wrong altcoin, and it's going to be like the wrong altcoin are going to be like 90, 95 to 99% of the ones that you can buy, then it's going to look like this. And all this pump was, and it was a giant pump, was an exit pump. And now you're stuck holding the bag. So yeah, I don't know. That's just how I look at the altcoins right now. That can change, right? Stuff changes quickly in crypto, but I can scroll through these, right? WeChain, one of the most bullish charts that we've had, put in a high. This reminds you of something, right? This has to remind you of something, because what this was basically a blow off top into complacency bounce. And when charts look like this, even the bullish ones, I mean, no, like, it shouldn't be taking me to kind of realize that this is not necessarily what you want to be seeing. But yeah, I hate the problem with me being so, like, open about what I think this stuff is going to do is that if I'm right, no one's gonna care, because most people, they're not gonna listen to me, right? Which is completely fine. I don't want people to copy trade me. But two, like, no one's gonna care if I'm right, and I'm gonna get the shit blasted out of me for being wrong if this is like playing out bullishly. It's just like every time that I see this, like, crypto goes on a tear, and then Bitcoin takes a breather, and then these altcoins like do whatever they do and then start dumping, right? It reminds me of like back in 18, right? I can actually show you on the chart, right? So back in 18, I just started my crypto Twitter account, basically, because I was like, all the information on Twitter is garbage, right? So I was like, I can do better than these people, so I'm just gonna try it, right? And I basically started into like this rally, starting into somewhere here, like getting more and more active, right? On Twitter, anyway. And then I saw the top, and I saw the altcoin season that followed after. Like, we've had like altcoins do really well in here, and like some did really well in here, right? And I still remember back in here, Cred trolled me and kind of just wrote a post on his Twitter saying, if you have any investment questions or whatever, DM Don about it, right? And I got like 400, 500, I don't even know how many. I never counted them because it was too much. But like in that kind of area, DMs of people telling me into, like that was during the crash and going into the crash, how much they lost and whatever. And that has scarred me for life. Like I've had so many people tell me like that they've invested the college fund of their kids, that they kind of remortgaged their house and all that kind of garbage. And they lost it all, right? And I've gone through this before. These altcoins, they're gonna go up 100x and they're gonna go down 99%. Like if you're in crypto, you have to sign up for that, right? And if it turns bearish and you're not getting out, you're gonna take a 90% drawdown. And if you're fine with that, I mean, do it, right? That's like, if you have like really high convictions in whatever you buy, I mean, that's fine to sit through, right? But if you don't, I mean, I'm just here to warn those people that don't, right? Because some people just invest way too much, especially into altcoins. Like if you're putting 80% of your net worth into Bitcoin, do whatever. If you're putting 80% into altcoins, I mean, fucking hell. Are you willing to lose that? Or are you just like trying to make the most out of what you have? Because most of the time it's just like being stupid. Get out of altcoins? That's not what I'm saying. I mean, like, I'm bearish on these things and you're into altcoins and you have your investment thesis, then do so, right? Jesus, did the stream die? Let me know. Because I can't see comments anymore. Someone DDoSing me for talking crap about altcoins. Crap about altcoins. Okay, I think just it went pixelated. Yeah, I think the OBS died, which I haven't had before. But yeah, okay, we're back. Sorry about that. It wasn't the connection. That's the weird part. It was OBS actually. But yeah, like someone said while I was gone, I don't know where it cut off, but someone said, like, should I get out of altcoins now? And that's not what I'm saying, right? You buy an altcoin because you're bullish on it and you do whatever you must with it, right? But you should be having an invalidation, right? Like, let's say you're bullish on Litecoin, right? And fair enough, you're bullish on Litecoin, right? But you should know when to get the fuck out if you have more in it than you're happy with losing, right? For example, right now, you're like, okay, if this support breaks, I'm going to get out. And if it starts turning bullishly again, I'm going to get back in because I'm bullish Litecoin in general, right? And that's completely fine. What I'm saying is not fine is if you have no invalidation for these things. Because, I mean, they can go down 90%. They can go down 90% and then go down another 90%, right? So, yeah. So you're saying that we're still in the bull market, but the bear market is close, right? I'm saying we're in a bear market. I mean, for me, we've been in the bear market for a while. I'm like more than 50% certain that we are in one, and that it's going to take a while to get out of this. Now, we've already had, like the thing is, like, if this isn't the bear market, right? If this isn't the bear market, a 60% retracement basically of the entirety of these gains, I don't know what is, right? Because if you're expecting to see this in the bull market, then I don't want to see a bear market, right? What's a bear market if a bull market is just like you take a 60% haircut and just that's not bad at all. Like then you would think a bear market goes down 90, 95%. And that's just not what I think. I think we're in the midst of a bear market after this drop. Like not even in the middle, we're just at the beginning. It's going to take some time. But it doesn't have to mean that we're going to get significantly lower prices, right? This can be in a bear market for a year or two, just going sideways in this range somewhere. And it's still going to be agonizing and it's still going to be shit. And then it can go up, right? So that's kind of my view on this thing, like macro. I think we probably are in a bear market. And on the altcoin front, I think they never left. Besides like a few handful, like ADA, for example. And we talked about this last stream, right? I was like, where the fuck do you want to take this, right? pretty much looks like ETH. And I think ETH actually looks the best out of like 95% of altcoins. So ADA is a really strong one. It's just, it doesn't look like, it doesn't offer like any kind of opportunity to trade it. Very much like ETH, in my opinion. Because like your target would always have to be here. And as long as it's not trading like in this range somewhere, that upside is not worth the risk. So for me, like ADA is just a no-go. But it's one of the best ones. And that's my problem with all of this. ETH, definitely not one that I would want to be holding, but it's the best altcoin around. Like literally the best altcoin around. Looks to me like I really don't want to hold it. And when that's the case, I know that there could be pain. I mean, I could be saying this at the bottom, right? And like I said, I don't have a horse in the race because I have no exposure to these things on the bullish or bearish side. So, yeah. So, I think like in a nutshell, just have your invalidations because, I mean, these things have gone down 90%, 95, 99, and they will again. And whether that be from here or from higher, that doesn't have to matter too much. If you're in this to make money, right, you should know this generally because, I mean, you don't want to be starting to gamble, right? If you're starting to gamble, I mean, that just leads to a whole lot of other bad things that can happen to you. But in general, you should be having an invalidation to your thesis, right? Unless you're an investor in it for the long term. But then you gotta be really good at picking because most altcoins don't stay around. So that's kind of my view on these altcoins. We could go through the entire list. I'm pretty bearish on Doge. Nano, for example, I mean, just basically reversed most of the move, most of the bullish move. Komodo just completely gone again. Fun, I mean, that's still sitting at support-ish. But you see this, right? You look at these and you see the confluence, right? These all broke down. BAT is actually one of the few ones where I could actually get a bullish setup out of it. So if I wanted, like in general, if I still had all the tools available to me, right? I see this kind of stuff and I see, for example, BAT at support, right? What I used to do was I would buy one altcoin, for example, in this case, BAT, right? Because it has a risk-defined setup and it doesn't look too bad. And then I take another one, for example, right now, because that's the one that I'm most bearish on, Dogecoin. And then I just long this and short this and then be pretty much equally sized, right? And if Dogecoin goes down, I make money, and Dogecoin is much more volatile than BAT is. So I'm going to be fine on that front. And if BAT goes up and Dogecoin goes up, like these are probably going to move somewhat in the same direction. But because this has like a bullish setup and the Dogecoin one is just plainly bearish, it's much more likely that I'd make some money on this trade overall, right? Even if one of them moves in the bullish direction and the other one in the bearish one, right? Also, like, I mean, if one of them moves bullishly and the other one does too, but just weaker, right? And that's generally the case with these altcoins. When you get a good looking altcoin, it's gonna move higher than the bad looking altcoin, but they're still gonna move in the same direction, right? So you're gonna cover with that strategy this. And the risk is basically that you're dead wrong on these, and this just goes to shit and this one doesn't, or it even goes up. But I mean, that's like where you as a trader have to make the call, right? If you're just really bad at picking these, then you probably shouldn't, because it's still a two-leg trade, right? You do two things and it's a little bit more complicated than a normal one. But if you're pretty good at kind of guessing the direction or the strength of an altcoin against another one, I mean, that's the way to trade it. Wait, John McAfee died? What? There's no fucking way. Holy shit. I thought you were memeing me, dude. Fucking hell. Yeah, rest in peace, dude. I mean, the guy was like pushing altcoins into like basically top, made a bunch of people lose a bunch of money, but legend in its own right. Jesus Christ. Suicide in cell? I mean, who knows? So, I mean, yeah, rough day. I think there's gonna be even more rough days ahead. I mean, just look at this chart. I'm not entirely sure if it's gonna play out bullish or not. I'm leaning on the bearish side of things, but I'm not in any position, and that's a good place to be for me right now, because I don't want to be net short crypto. That's relatively hard to do for me in general, because crypto is cool and I think crypto is going to go up in the long run. But right now it looks so garbage that I don't want to be involved, right? And that's my stance on this thing. And that's why I feel like I can unbiasedly talk about these altcoins, because I have no position. But maybe I'm biased because I have no position. Could be. And that's why you should be making your own mind, like making up your own mind, right? If you're looking at these charts, you're like, this guy is missing this very obvious bullish retest down here, right? If that's kind of your angle, I mean, I don't want to be the guy that's standing between you and that bullish kind of trade idea that you have. I want to be the guy that kind of warns people that these things can go down 99%. I'm not saying they have to right now. And I'm not saying you should be selling all your altcoins, because I have no idea why you bought them, and I have no idea what your investment or trading thesis is. So you gotta make up your own mind. But for me, like, most of them look really bearish against Bitcoin. And that's all I'm gonna say. And all of these bounces right now look pretty shitty. Not gonna lie. Like, what is this? And the problem is, I'm saying this right at support, so this could easily bounce, right? But in general, like, zoom out a little and look at the trend of these things. And then it becomes much, much harder to kind of see this as any bullish price action, right? We've had a high here, and completely wiped the floor with everyone that had it. And then it's at a high, kind of got rejected at the same one, retraced all the bullishness. Now, this is the best place to buy it right now, basically. So if you want to be buying this, right, be my guest. But know that if it breaks the lows, right, like down here, that there's a good chance this goes down 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% against Bitcoin. And that I'm not going to buy it, even though it's at support. Sol? Okay. We wrote about Sol in the newsletter. If you follow the newsletter, you should be familiar with our Sol opinion. Sol is actually one of the only ones that's actually still high time frame bullish, right? And I'm going to be looking for buys on the Sol ecosystem, just because Cred's been chilling me into one. As soon as I see the altcoins in general do well, right? I'm not going to be buying just because I think this is going to go up and everything is going to go down. If anything, I would be shorting something, but I'm not doing that anymore, right? So Sol is, for example, a really good contender for I'm buying something and selling something else, because, I mean, this just still looks somewhat decent. It doesn't look good, but somewhat decent, right? We've had a fake breakout into bearish retest, into breakdown, but this doesn't look bad, right? I wouldn't want to be shorting this. Now, Cred and I, we've been kind of covering Sol on the newsletter, basically in here. We were like, after this breakdown happened and the 2 successive bullish weeks came out, we were like, okay, you don't want to be buying this thing, even though it's the best looking, or like one of the best looking altcoins. because it's a bearish retest right now. And that was $43. I don't know if any of you guys are checking out the newsletter at all, but I mean, that's where you get like, it's written in the most concise way that we can, right? So you should check that out, it's free. But yeah, we were talking about like Sol being one of the best looking altcoins and even that looking shit, right? And that was 3 weeks ago. It went down more than 50% afterwards, pretty much exactly to the pip. And every single other altcoin in those 3 weeks went down 20, 30, 40, whatever, you get the point, right? And we talked about it 3 weeks ago that we didn't want to be covering altcoins because they all look bearish. And I mean, they've played out, right? And that's the problem with all of this, like me being bearish, altcoins, whatever, at support, is that like I've been bearish up here as well, right? This is the one that's going to be remembered if I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm just bearish all of these. I don't know what else to say. So the altcoins, not a big fan. Sol, like I said, one of the better looking ones, looks like it's still gonna get bought. So if I wanted to buy any altcoin, it would be in the Sol direction, maybe in the Sol ecosystem even. But yeah, Sol and ETH, those are the two ones I think that I can, if I go through my entire list, that I'm gonna be finding that are looking decent. And both of them still look very rough to me. And I mean, we can look at sushi, right? A little bit of the ones that tend to be more bullish. And then you see this. And it's really, really hard to be bullish on this. And I'm much more inclined to be bullish if this actually puts in some bullish price action. And I know this is almost a 2x away. But the thing with these altcoins is you want to be playing the momentum, right? And the momentum is down right now. The momentum was up all the way, right? And this is one of the coins that we covered in the newsletter extensively as well on the way up. You want to be playing with the momentum, right? Because these kind of things, they go hard and then they retrace hard. And you don't want to be in the retrace part of it. And if it starts rounding out again and starts going towards 10, 11, maybe there's a second run in it, right? And I'm more than fine taking the trade from $11 to 25 because that's still an easy 2x. Because the thing is, if you're buying all of these altcoins and you're risking basically getting fucked, then if it actually starts bottoming, you're not going to have any dry powder left, right? That's all I'm saying. Bitcoin is bleeding out most of the time. It ends with a nuke. Yeah, that's kind of my, like, look at this. Like, this is what CT and everyone else has been fucking celebrating on the daily, right? I know that it looks kind of okay on the low time frames. We had a big reversal, whatever, but like, this is garbage, right? I mean, this doesn't matter too much, and this is garbage. And if it closes like this, we're fucked in the short term, in my opinion, anyway. So that's why I'm not buying, and I'm willing to buy higher. So that's not too far away. 35k towards like the daily close today. More than happy to be buying into the squeeze. Until then, nope. So losing 33 and you see retest lower around 29k or straight much lower. I don't have a support, dude. Like that's another problem of mine. Like I have a support at 20k. That's the closest one that I have. And I have high time frame support at 14k. Like those are the only two supports that I have. So for me, buying here is support that's been tested a billion times and actually a range breakout on the other side. Like that's really tough to do because I know that the next support that I can buy is almost 50% lower. And I'm not willing to sit in something that I think can go 50% lower. I'm going to be buying into strength or 50% lower. So I'm looking at 20k. That's where I'm like, if you guys remember what I did during this nuke, right? We talked about this nuke while it was happening. I was like, okay, look for 32, 33k, right? in that like 50K range. And then we started bleeding out. And then we hit 33 and I bought it and it bounced, right? And I sold it again. And then I was looking for buys because I was like, okay, if this is going to play out bullishly, I want to be involved, right? Now it hasn't played out bullishly. It in fact broke the range to the downside, so I don't want to be involved, right? Now I'm going to do the same thing again with 20K and 14K, put bids there. I don't know if they're going to hit or not. But if they're going to hit, I'm going to be happy because I'm going to be able to sell it to someone else at like 30K again. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm buying the dip if I get to, right, at 20K. And I'm going to sell it to someone else that maybe someone that got liquidated into my bids higher. And then I'm going to see, okay, is the market strong or not? And if the market isn't strong, I don't want to be holding on to it. And if that was the bottom and I sold the bottom after having bought it, so be it, right? I'm more than happy to take these like 20, 30, 40, 50% bounces any day of the week because I'm going to get more money out of it. But it's going to be different to you if you want to have the largest Bitcoin stack possible, because if you miss the bottom and it's going to go higher and you have no good setup to get back in, that's painful, right? So there's a difference between like how I trade and how people should be trading if they're looking to maximize their Bitcoin, if they're looking to whatever. I'm maximizing my dollar if I can. And that's just my view on this thing. And that's why I'm completely fine with just taking, like, someone gets liquidated, I'm buying here, selling it back to them here. And that's fine by me. But if you're trying to catch the entirety of moves, you shouldn't be doing that. You should just be holding. So when you zoom out like that, it looks like a massive head and shoulders. I mean, it is. It has to be invalidated, but it is a head and shoulders, yeah. It's as much of a head and shoulders as this was. We can even do it like this. And it might not be obvious here, but if you look at the weekly time frame, it's very obvious there, right? That was our head and shoulders at the highs. Let me actually move these and make it a little bit clearer on a clean chart. Yeah, you even got my drawings. So you have your high here, you take it out, you rally higher, you fake out, you break to the downside, and you find resistance there again. If you want to look at it like this, right? You've had your high, another high, another high. Looks like garbage, broke down. Now you have the same thing again. You have a high in here, and you have a high here. And while that's in place and everything else looks like shit, I'm just not gonna be aggressive. But there's a good chance, and this is something I want to be saying like 100 times over, because I kind of have to, because people keep on blaming me for like not having been like. It's one of the most annoying things is when people blame me for them not having bought the bottom, because like, what does that have to do with me, right? If you watch this and you're like, okay, this guy clearly knows what he's doing, so I'm gonna copy trade him. I mean, anything that you do is on you, right? Because I mean, I could be completely wrong. I'm just a duck on the internet, right? So blame yourself and celebrate your stuff as well, right? Whenever I see people like, oh, I made a bunch of money because of this guy, I'm like, dude, you're the guy that pulled the trigger, right? You're the one that actually stuck their head out and traded. I wasn't sitting there using your mouse and clicking the buttons for you. So it's all on you on both sides, right? You're winning, you're losing, you did it. So, yeah. So that's kind of my view on this whole thing. I don't know. I hate to be like the bearer of bad news or whatever. But for me, this is bearish retest until proven otherwise. And could be the bottom. And I'm gonna consider if it is the bottom at 35K. But until then, I'm gonna consider it the bearish retest. And I think the entirety of CT is pretty much getting baited into buying a bearish retest. And I'm gonna have zero shame in buying much higher than everyone else is at 35k, because I think at that point we're probably gonna go higher. And that's the beauty of this thing, like sitting on the sidelines with a clear invalidation, because I feel zero FOMO into this thing because I know we're at daily resistance and I'm much more happy to buy above daily resistance. So there you go. That's as kind of concise as I can make it. And my altcoin view is that I think probably everything goes down against Bitcoin. But then again, I'm trading none of it, so it doesn't really have, like, doesn't matter. So that was that. Any questions? Anything that I missed? Anything that you want to rant about? Because yeah, I know it's like, I don't want to end on a depressing note, but I mean, it's hard to do when like you have fucking McAfee dying during your show. It's fucking yeah. Most should just stack sats. I agree. Trading is not for everyone. It's just for some reason a lot of people want to do it, and I'm happy to help as much as I can. Because I mean, back when I started, there was no one I could look to, so I had to like sift through garbage forever. No one really explained their reasoning, and everyone had it behind the paywall. So I thought I could do that better, and I think I've done so. But yeah, there's always more to learn, and there's always stuff that you could do better. It's just trying the best anyway. Do you think he was murdered? It's such a John McAfee way of like going out and then just framing it as he was murdered, because I don't really think he would have been, at least not from like it looks like from what I've read so far, and I mean, we've seen this all together, right? It looks like he died in the cell, and I mean, made it look like it was the authorities doing it. I very much doubt that. I think if anything, he's probably, I have no idea. I don't want to kind of guess about like a guy's death. Seems kind of shitty to do directly after he's died. I am new and this is quite confusing. Like, why Bitcoin looks better than ETH? I didn't understand that part. So the reason why I like this better than ETH, right? And I'm not always the best at explaining things, right? Is because I know exactly where this is going to turn bullish, right? I think if this starts going bullish towards 35k, right? I'm going to be the one buying this thing. And I think the chances of it going towards like 45k are high, right? That's why I like Bitcoin better than ETH, because when I look at ETH, there's no such level for me. We close back above 1,920. I have no idea where this goes. The next resistance is here. Like, that wouldn't be worth a trade. It looks in general just weak, because this is typical. The market cycle looks generally like this. You can just look back in the past, right? You have like this. It's basically what we've done in here. So the market cycle kind of looks shitty. And there's no real level where I would want to be buying this. Like, if anything, it would be like 2.2k maybe, like above here. But even then, I would be sitting there being scared for my position, because I could easily see us go up here and then just dump anyway. With Bitcoin, that's very, very much not the case, because I think if we go back to 35k, it's probably going to go much higher, right? So for me, Bitcoin looks much better because the bullish trade setup is much, much clearer. And also, I mean, ETH BTC has just been outperformed by Bitcoin, right? So Ethereum against Bitcoin, this chart looks like a market cycle in itself, right? You've had your blow off top, you've had your complacency bounce. So like both of the ETH charts look bearish and offer worse long opportunities than Bitcoin. So that's why I'm saying Bitcoin looks better than ETH. Hope that explained it. Could ETH plus altcoins completely decouple from Bitcoin to the downside? I think you could be seeing, like we could see Bitcoin moon and altcoins go sideways on the USD pairs, while the Bitcoin pairs completely nuke. That's something I could be seeing. Other than that, like I don't think you're gonna see too much of like USD. Like if Bitcoin goes up, I don't think the altcoin pairs are gonna dump too much against USD. That'd be surprising to me. So hope that helped. I mean, like I said, I hate to be bearish at fucking range low. It's just like, for me, I'm gonna be buying higher. Maybe I sounded more bearish than I actually am. Like I said, I'm gonna be buying 35k if we get there. Until that happens, I'm gonna assume this is a bearish retest and not the bottom. Okay. Thanks Portfolio for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate it. Their links are in the description if you want to check them out. They do all the portfolio tracking that you're used to. They also let you trade on there on the mobile platform. It's pretty neat. Go check it out if you want to. If not, whatever. Fine by me. Hope I helped. Hope I didn't FUD you out at your coins at the bottom. No idea if it's gonna be the bottom or not. I think very unlikely that altcoins have bottomed against Bitcoin, but who knows, right? I'm just a duck. So make your own decisions, all I'm gonna say. And I mean, I hope I'm gonna get a bullish setup because that's gonna be much easier to trade than a bearish one on Bitcoin anyway. So 35k, that's my line in the sand for today. If we go there, nice. If we don't, I mean, it's just gonna look bad. I'm not shorting anyway, so do with whatever I've said how you must, right? I mean, pretty tough to find the short setup in here. It's much better to just buy the dip because we're already 60% down. So wouldn't want to bet on like too lengthy expansion to the downside. I'm just saying like looks pretty shitty to me. So I'm not betting on upside unless it shows me that there's actually some upside to be had. And that upside would be at 35k. Okay. Thanks for coming by and see you guys next time. Bye bye.